I was fully aware at 13 that I was this thing that is now called non-binary. I didn't know that I was at the same time a person with ADHD, a person with Irlen syndrome, a dyslexic person. Nobody around me knew about those things. It wasn't something that was diagnosed at that time. You're talking 30 years ago. As an adult, I was able to very slowly examine, am I being true to my own identity? I've been brought up as supposedly a woman, and every influence I had was trying to pressure me into this identity that I didn't relate to. I'd sort of ceased my relationship with my mother from 19. I did quite a lot of caring for her as a really young child. She wasn't a very well person, like mentally or physically. And then I got contact from a family member who said, she's in hospital, she is going to die, you need to come and pay your respects to her. This is somebody who, at this point, was a virtual stranger to me. I felt like if she's going to pass away, maybe I should go say goodbye. I sat down with her and I held her hand, and she said to me, am I going to die? And I said, yeah, I think you are. She wasn't really sort of sad about it. She was more kind of like, hey, why have you come? And I said, I've just come to say goodbye, really. She told me that she loved me. And of course, she called me daughter, which was a difficult thing because, you know, that's what she knew me as. That was the last time that I saw her. I started a process a couple of years later of really walking into my non-binary self. I thought, why now? You know, why am I suddenly feeling more comfortable to sort of express myself? And I think the connection was because she had passed away, it was, I no longer have to be a daughter, I no longer have to be a woman. I can just step forward in who I am now, being myself. But what came with that was also a complete breakdown in who I was mentally, because it was like, well then, you know, there was, what is my identity, who am I? It was almost like I died with her at that point. I couldn't speak to anyone, I was completely isolated, I couldn't talk to anybody that wasn't coping, that I was grieving about it, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I just sunk into a really deep depression that lasted for, you know, several years. When I went into lockdown, I was already in that state of depression and things got worse. I got into lots of debt because I was no longer working. That meant my home got repossessed, my car got repossessed, and then I was just like probably at the lowest point. But the kind of odd thing about that was it was almost like a clean slate. I started meeting new people online who were queer and looking at my LGBT identity and thinking, this is interesting. I actually was given space for the first time in my life to actually sit down and think about who I was, what I wanted my life to look like, who I wanted in my life, rather than it being dictated to me by other people. I started to get very angry about the fact that those people in the past had controlled my future. Weirdly, I started to build confidence and started to build up who I wanted to be, and found people that helped me build that confidence. Trauma comes to us in different ways. So I experienced a lot of trauma as a young child that I carried through into adulthood. Because I think there's something about when the people who have been related to your trauma are still alive, it's alive in you and you're still attached to it. You can't quite let go of it. You can't quite let go of what's happened. It had to go somewhere. So it started to live inside my body. A disease started to develop in my body, which I now have, and it triggered another disease. I came out of lockdown using mobility aids, having to be rehomed into an accessible accommodation, having to get a power chair, and going from a mental disability to then also having physical disabilities and learning about that world then. I was able to let go of a lot of things, forgive a lot of things. It was like, I don't have to follow in their footsteps. I don't have to be that legacy. I can make my own. So the death gave me that transformation, gave me that renewal to go, what do I want said about me when I pass away? And I say to myself, am I disabled now, or was I disabled before the breakdown, before the losses? Because I now understand myself as neurodivergent, disabled and queer.